called me for so much more, so much more than just being called Mrs. Somebody. Right there, God has called you for something greater, something deeper. That's just the cherry on the cake. Like I have said already, it's just the cherry on the cake, and hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is yet another exciting day, to have a heart-to-heart conversation with your girl CGM the Superwoman. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Cindy Glory Mpolomoka, and I am your favorite content creator. So do not forget to hit the subscribe button, don't forget to share, don't forget to like, and do not forget to comment. Your comments mean a lot to me. Yes, so today we have an interesting topic. As you know, on this platform we get to have heart-to-heart conversations, conversations that will build you, conversations that will carry you through your years, through life, and will help you to do life effectively. So today I am going to be talking about an interesting topic, and of course I'm going to be sharing things that have worked for me. I'm going to be looking at practical things, that have actually worked for me, that have worked for other people, yeah, so stay tuned. All right, so let's begin. As you can see from the title of today's topic, it's quite juicy. It says how to be very single and very happy. Did you know, ladies and gentlemen, you could be very single and very happy? One of the things that affects us as human beings is the topic of love, the subject on love. So when we look at love, it's something that we desire as human beings. God has created us, to naturally want to be loved, to naturally want to love others, and it comes in different forms, through family, friends, but today I'm going to be talking about relationships. Like specifically, we're going to be talking about how to be single and how to be very happy, and I'm going to be giving you practical tips, on how you can do that. Because one thing about life is you don't just do life, you need to be intentional. If you want to look good, you have to be intentional. If you want to know how to do makeup, you have to be intentional. If you want to know how to do A, B, C, D, if you want to win that interview, you have to be intentional. It's all about intentionality. Without intentionality, trust me, you will not produce the results that you want to produce. So there's someone out there, you've been wondering, you're single and you're so sad, you've been depressed, you've been wondering how people who don't have a significant other, go through life. Today I am here, to help you with that, and that's why this platform is here. That's why this channel is here, just for you. All right, so the first point I have for today is get rid of the singleness is a curse mentality. Ladies and gentlemen, we're living in a world, that looks at singleness as a curse. You go on social media, you find all sorts of jokes, all sorts of memes, about single people, attacking single people, or to some extent, to a very large extent, it is not right, that we should make other people, even though they're not in relationships, they have not yet been found by the one, feel bad about their state. Sometimes it may look like jokes, but it gets to a point where it affects someone so badly that, they live their life every single day feeling like there's something, that they do not have yet. That's a lie. That's a complete total lie. Singleness is not a curse, it is a blessing from God. And some of you may be asking, Cindy, how is it a blessing? I have friends who look at me, I'm 35 and I'm not in a relationship, and everybody is asking me, when are we going to meet the one? When are we going to dance? How can I be happy, with all these blows, that are being shot at me on a daily basis? Well, Number one, get rid of that mentality. Singleness is not a curse, it is a blessing from God. It's time to discover yourself, it's time to enjoy you, it's time to enjoy yourself. I find it interesting that the Bible says love your neighbor as you love yourself. So meaning you cannot love another person when you do not love yourself. So the first thing to do, love yourself. Love yourself, enjoy yourself, enjoy being alone. Enjoy being alone. And there's someone out there also asking, how can you enjoy being alone? I mean, it's boring. You have no one to text, you have no one to tell you look beautiful. Well, you have you. You have you to have a conversation with. You have you to text. You have you to literally look yourself in the mirror and say you are beautiful. I struggled with something. For those of you who know me, I love to post myself, I love to tell myself, to literally give myself words of affirmation. It's not just for show, it's not because I'm bored or anything. It comes from somewhere. There was a point in my life where I hated myself. I hated myself. I don't know. Clearly it was the devil. I hated myself so much that I looked in the mirror and I thought, what's there to offer? What can I offer? What do I even have to give to this world? But then when I encountered the Lord, God showed me a side of me, and I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, you are beautiful. Nowadays, when someone tells me I'm beautiful, it's just an add-on, it's just a cherry on the cake. I have literally already established the fact that I am beautiful, and I don't need a man. I don't need anybody else to tell me. It will be cute, don't get me wrong, it will be cute to be told you're beautiful, you're pretty, but then it starts from me. So get that mirror, look yourself in the mirror today and tell yourself, girl, you are fine, girl, you are beautiful. If you're a man, and let's say ladies have been rejecting you, look at yourself and tell yourself, you are handsome, fearfully and wonderfully made. Yes, so that was my first point. Get rid of that mentality. It's not a mentality from God. If God in his wisdom designs seasons, and said in this season of your life you need to be alone, because at the end of the day, God makes things beautiful in their time, and he causes things to happen at the right time. So ladies and gentlemen, we have different paths in this life. We have different paths. Others will meet the one, at 3 years old and get married and will never experience this season. But there's someone who 35 years old, 40 years old, you are still very single. It's not time to start, crying about it. It's not time to get depressed. It's time to get up and realize that it's a blessing. And if God is delaying a certain process in your life, then it's for you to ask him, God, what do I do in this season of my life? How do I make the most out of this season? Yes. So the next point I have is show yourself some love. Like I said, I'm talking about practical things, like things that have worked for me. Show yourself some love. Take yourself out, ladies and gentlemen, especially the ladies. You can't live your entire life waiting for a man to take you out on a date. Something you can do for yourself, something you can literally just wake up and do for yourself. It doesn't have to be something expensive, that you gift yourself with. It doesn't have to be an expensive place. You take yourself out to here and there. You just take yourself out for a walk. Encourage yourself. Tell yourself you are the one. Tell yourself to say, when I walk here, something in this room shakes. When I step into a room, there's something that happens. Just have confidence in yourself. Have confidence in spending time alone. Let me tell you an interesting story. At the time when I went out to eat, I usually like to take myself out to eat, because obviously I'm not waiting for someone to take me out. I would love to be taken out. It's nice to be taken out, by the way. It's nice to, for someone to take you out and buy you nice things here and there. But it's even better, trust me, when you do it for yourself. It's even better when you do it for yourself. So here's the story. I go to this place. I think it was a restaurant. I should have been waiting for the waiter to bring the food. Someone was watching me from a distance, someone who knew me. Apparently they were expecting me to meet up with somebody, like on a date and something like that. But then lo and behold, I went there, ate, enjoyed myself and walked out. They were shocked, they were amazed, like the courage you have to take yourself out. And when you enter, let's say, a restaurant, you see two people having dinner, a girl and a guy, just enjoying themselves. And sometimes there's this, you feel it's weird. Sometimes it's weird, but then this weird is what will help you have confidence. It will help you have confidence, in spending time with yourself. So show yourself some love, buy yourself a gift, buy yourself some cute earrings, buy yourself a wig. Girl, if you're a guy, just buy yourself some, I don't know, shoes, something, don't wait to be gifted. Don't wait for someone to show you love. Don't wait for someone to tell you they love you. Don't wait for someone to tell you you are beautiful, because girl, guy, you are. And the other point I have put across here in my notes is that do purpose. There's nothing as fulfilling in life as doing purpose. And you may be asking me, what is purpose? Purpose is the reason, for your being. Like, why were you created? What do you like doing? Sometimes we tend to look at purpose as something complicated, but purpose is basically the things that God has placed on your heart, for you to do. It may be writing, it may be designing, it may be singing, it may be dancing, whatever. God has given you a lot of things to do. I think the other time on my status I had started a series called Dear Younger Sister, of which I think I will do a whole series here on YouTube. Dear Younger Sister, and I said something. I said, be very busy. Get busy. Sometimes the reason why you keep thinking of the one is because you're not busy. You're not busy enough. You're not busy enough. Get busy, dear younger sister. Get busy, dear younger brother. Do purpose. Do what makes you happy. Do you like dancing? Please make videos. Make videos of yourself dancing. Have fun. So purpose is all about doing what you were called to do here on this earth. Are you a preacher? Are you a singer? Are you a writer? Are you a dancer, like I've already mentioned? Just do it. Have fun with your life. Live a meaningful life. Live a purposeful life. And then once you are doing purpose, once you're living out your life the way you're supposed to live it, trust me, the right person will come. The right person will come. And one thing about purpose also, it allows you, to know who should come your way and who should not come your way. I would highly advise people not to date if you have not yet discovered your purpose. Why? You don't know who should join you on your journey. You don't know who should come along with you on your journey. But if you know your purpose, say, okay, I do this. Let's say you're in ministry. Trust me, when you're in ministry, you don't want anybody. You can't date anyone. You can't just go out with anybody. You need a specific kind of person, someone who can understand that you have been called into ministry, someone who can help you with your ministry. So ladies and gentlemen, one practical way of being very single and very happy is do purpose. Get busy. Do what God has called you to do. The other thing that I have put across in my notes is pray. I think, is there a video that has gone by without me mentioning God? I don't think so, because I think that's where all this generates from, our efforts in trying to be whole, trying to be complete on our own, are very, very, useless. There's literally nothing you cannot do without God being involved. Okay, at least that's my testimony. Even for me to know how to be very single and very happy, it took God. It took me reading the Bible, discovering who God has said I am, fearfully, wonderfully made, discovering that God has called me for so much more, so much more than just being called Mrs. Somebody. Right there, God has called you for something greater, something deeper. That's just the cherry on the cake, like I have said already. It's just the cherry on the cake, And ladies and gentlemen, you need to pray about these things. Pray, tell God how you're feeling. One thing about prayer is sometimes we complicate it. Like, we think prayer is, being technical, being like a robot. But prayer is a conversation with the Lord. Tell God, this season of my life, I'm seeing my friends getting married. I'm seeing my friends getting into relationships here and there. What about me, God? What's going on? What's going on? And you discover that when you have those real and honest, those raw conversations with the Lord himself, he begins to show you. You say, oh my God, this is what I should be looking at now. I should not be focusing on who hasn't come. I should be focusing on my life, what God is doing in my life. So when you read the Bible, when you pray, you discover your identity. You discover who you have been called, to be in this life, what you have been called to do in this life. So ladies and gentlemen, pray about it. Pray about it. Read the word in the scriptures. You will discover who you are, and oh my God, once you discover that, you will live your life so fulfilled, so happy. So ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a really, really short video, but I just thought I should encourage somebody out there. It's not a curse. Singleness is not a curse, it's actually a blessing. And the minute you switch your mind, the minute you do what I have told you to do, trust me, there are a lot of things in your life that will be birthed. You won't even realize that somebody is missing, somebody is missing, somebody is not there, God himself will definitely align you to the right person. And having said this, I am not in any way looking down on love. For those of you who know me, I love love. I write about love, guys. I love it. I love it. I love it when people are in love, but then this love thing has to come the right way at the right time, Otherwise, that has been for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you all. God bless you, and I hope you have enjoyed. It has been your girl CGM the Superwoman, from my heart to yours, and I hope you have enjoyed. Please do leave a comment in the comment section and just tell me how this video has been for you, and don't forget to be very single and very happy.